Okay, so what I've done so far, forgive my hoop, it is well stickied from spray adhesive and I haven't figured out how to clean it off. This is going to be your tack down. Now, normally I would have done this in a larger hoop so that this would have been wider, but because I only have my 5x7 right now, this is what we're working with. So this is going to be the front flap of a bag. So I've just interfaced it with SF101 and ironed it really well. This is headliner foam, just because I wanted to give it some body. And then if you want to do it double-sided. So this is going to go on the back because this is going to be a window. But if you decided that you didn't want a window and you wanted to put glitter on the inside, you wouldn't even need this piece yet. You're just going to need these pieces. You'll be fine, I promise. Okay? So today, so that you can see how to do a backing on it, I'm going to do this one. I'll explain how to do the other when I get there. When I return this to the hoop, it's going to stitch in between here, in between the lines, and it's going to do a tack down. So what I need for that is I need to be able to have this on the back side, kind of centered in the middle, or at least whatever piece I'm doing like this. So that's going to go down. I know that this is my middle, so I'm going to set this here. I'm going to have it all overhanging so that everything sits nicely in the middle. I'm going to look to see where it is. Now, if you don't have your piece cut out, which I recommend, I mean, this is just a scrap piece that I have right now, but if you just have a piece of fabric that you're going to cut your pattern to later, that's better, because then you can make sure that there's no room for error as far as getting it right in the middle of everything that you need to do. So I'm just lifting that up so that I could see. Straighten that out a little bit. And then I'm going to take pins and I'm going to pin in the corner. Okay, and then I'm going to return it to the hoop. So I've gone ahead and done my first stitch, my second stitch essentially. And this is telling me where my placement goes for my clear vinyl. This piece here, if you just want to put glitter or a solid material down so that you don't want the window there, you can do that on this step, as well as if you are going to make a window, I cut through here so that it's easier for me to cut it from underneath once I stitch down the window placement. Okay, so my clear is now on. Let me hit my button here. There we go. And I'm going to stitch on my clear vinyl. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it over to my table. I'm going to cut from the underside. Do this before you do your top vinyl and you won't see anything underneath. The reason I don't cut this out before I stitch down my clear is so that there's no shifting and it gives it more stability. Okay. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off here. I'm going to trim on the underside, so just the back side of the clear vinyl, and then on the opposite side, on the top where the clear vinyl is, I'm going to just trim on the outside. So these pieces, I'm trimming the inside. This piece, I'm trimming the outside. So you can see I've gone ahead and removed the back. I've gotten as close as I can. This piece here, you can see I've trimmed the clear, so that's cleared, it's trimmed down. So now what we're going to do is we're going to set our decorative, so whatever colors you want on the top. Part of me thinks I should do yellow, but we're going to go ahead and do this pretty one. So I've given myself probably about 3/4 of an inch maybe on that. And I've chosen to keep the same thread, so it's going to be blue. It's going to have that blue coloring on top. And this is a, oh, it's a fancy stitch. I can't remember the name of it. So this is going to go over your clear vinyl on the inside, and it's going to go over your fabric on the outside. And the reason I did that is so that you don't have any raw edges showing if you clipped it close enough. So I've cheated, gone ahead, cut them out. My favorite tool is the seam ripper because it goes so nicely around the edges. But I trimmed the outside edges of both of these, left the inside, and as you can see, maybe not, but now you can, it gives a nice clean line. You don't see that, the underside details. So, ta-da. I'm going to clip this back in. And I added a little detail to this. You guys can skip this part if you don't want to do the extra mouse. I don't like anything that I make to be exact like somebody else's, so we have the mouse. Okay, so you can see where the little mouse goes. I'm going to lift my foot up. Okay, so I've gone ahead and completed it. This is what it would look like. You can see the window. I didn't take pictures, so I have to do it again, unless one of you guys wants to take pictures for the instruction purposes. But this backside, it's nice and clean. You really won't see it, but this will keep the paper from really showing. The way I did the stitches, they are spaced a little bit so that it will not perforate your vinyl. And like I said, this is optional. You don't have to do that little guy, but I liked him. So there you go. Okay, so we've completed the front panel. The foam I've cut down, so it's about 1/4 of an inch in. So if you're doing this with your pattern and then you just cut your pattern out afterwards, what you want to do is cut the pattern out normal and then go back and cut the inside, just in case you don't want that bulkiness in your seams, okay? So if you want to do the pocket, there's 2 ways that I do it. I have taken waterproof canvas and I've cut it, okay? So it's just, if you're going to do it the way I'm doing it right now, you want to do it a little bit bigger. So you lay down your pattern, give yourself about 1 inch all the way around. You can always trim it, but you can't add to it. So give yourself about 1 inch all the way around of your piece. Cut that twice. Okay, so now I have 2 pieces, right? So then I've cut down the middle. They're facing each other at this point. So at this point, you can choose to do a pocket with a zipper or just a slip pocket. Now, I tend to, when I'm doing the backpacks, just do a slip pocket. So if I'm doing that, I'm going to sew up this here, and then right sides out, and pinch and fold and all that good stuff. If I'm going to do a zipper, I put tabs on it. So I'm going to do the folding today just because it's easier for me. But if you're going to do the zipper, what you want to do is make sure that you put tabs on either side. So the way I do that, obviously, you'll do one end and then put your zipper on. So I'm doing one end here. and I will stitch here and then fold it back, and then you can stitch again if you want to. With waterproof canvas, I just press it really good, and then you'll put your zipper on and do the other end, and that's what you'll use in between so that your zipper stays out of the bulk of your seams up here. Okay, so I'm not doing that part today, but that's how you would do that piece. My machine is all ready to go, so what I'm just going to do is quickly show you how this goes together. So I just use the width of my foot. It's about a 1/2 inch. You're more than welcome to make up your own seams as you go along. When you're doing the interior, it's kind of a at your discretion, okay? Okay, do the same thing on the bottom piece. Now, the one thing that's a little bit harder with this particular style bag, like the flap, is making it sure that the seam isn't cutting right across. Unfortunately, when it's a small pocket, it's really hard not to do that. And somehow I lost. Oh, no, I'm good. Cut all my threads. Because I'm notorious for spinning and pulling my threads out the wrong way, we're going to just do that. So I don't look completely crazy on the computer. Okay, so now you're just going to fold them right sides out. If you have a tool, that's fantastic. I didn't bring mine to the table. And you'll do that to both pieces. Now this time, once again, I'm using the foot as my guide, but this time it's my guide on the edge. So it's probably a 1/4 or a 1/4. Same thing, same difference. Don't ask me math. So as you can see, it adds it right there. I'm doing it from both sides just because it helps to press it quickly. If you need to hold this down with clips because you don't feel that your press is going to stay, you know, by all means, clip it. Once it's going, I just hold it tight. Okay, so now, remove my threads. Your two pieces are done, and we're going to line them up. So obviously you want straighter lines than what I did, but you can kind of see that's how it's going to go. So what I'm going to do from here is line it up on the front side of my flap. Now if this is the inside of your bag, this is going to be done better with binding. So you would stitch around, put it in place. So like if this is a backpack, right? Your two sides that are done are together. You're going to stitch around. So we're back. Sorry. I went ahead and turned it right side out and stitched it. Okay, so all I did was stitch the top and then I stitched the sides. I used the width of the foot to stitch the sides. Obviously, if you're following a pattern, you guys can do whatever you want. Me, I kind of, you know, wing it. It's how I work. But this is how it would look on the front, and this is how it will look on the back. Now, this is your pocket. You can put, like I said, a zipper if you want to actually use it as a pocket, or you can just put your pin collector window in here. Now, what I do for the pin collector window is I will cut it so that it sits perfectly in here. And I use Decaville Heavy, and then I use a fabric on top of that, and I leave about an inch, or not an inch, half an inch over the edges all the way around, so that I'm creating a seam around the Decaville Heavy. I also use waterproof canvas on that. I put it on the front sides facing each other, stitch it, leave it opening at the bottom, turn it right side out, stitch it again so that it has a nice clean edge that comes in and out for your pins. So hopefully that helps. That's how I do all my pin collector windows. I will do the ice cream cone next, and that way you can see how the satin stitch works as well.